"Flowers, sir." "Only $5, the girl said, her voice a little louder than usual, trying to be heard above the street noise of Manhattan. One of the men, the tallest one, stopped and looked down. For a second, Lily thought she would finally sell her first bouquet of the night. But then, the smile that formed on the man's face wasn't kind. It was disdainful, almost cruel. "Look, guys, we have a little vendor here." He bent down to Lily, his warm breath mixed with the scent of expensive liquor. "Where did she get those flowers? Are they so ugly someone paid her to take them away?" The others burst out laughing, forming a circle around the girl. Lily stepped back, but felt the cold wall of a building behind her. "I picked them in the park," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. Her gaze fell to her feet, clad in old worn boots, wet from the snow. "Picked them in a park and she expects someone to pay for those weeds?" another man said, pointing at the basket of flowers with contempt. He adjusted his expensive glasses and chuckled. "It's so pathetic it's funny." $5 for that," the third man added, turning to his friends with a dramatically horrified expression. Even the homeless wouldn't take them for free. He waved a flower in front of Lily before dropping it to the ground and deliberately stepping on it. Lily couldn't hold back a sob anymore. Her small shoulders shook as she tried to shrink herself, as if she could disappear between the cracks in the pavement. The flowers in her basket seemed to wilt further under the weight of their cruel laughter. That's when another voice cut through the scene. $50 for all the flowers. The voice was calm, but carried an authority that made the men turn in unison. Standing a few steps away was Arthur Miller, dressed in a dark coat and a gray scarf. At 30, Arthur had a demeanor that commanded attention. There was something in his eyes, direct and intense, that couldn't be ignored. "What?" the tall man asked, clearly interrupted in his enjoyment. Arthur took 2 more steps, closing the distance. His face was composed, but his gaze made the men instinctively step back. "I said $50 for all the flowers," Arthur repeated, his voice calm but firm. He turned to Lily, his gaze softening. "If she agrees, of course." Lily, still teary-eyed, quietly nodded, unable to believe what was happening. Arthur pulled out his wallet, took out a $50 bill, and handed it to Lily. She took it with trembling fingers. "You should be ashamed," Arthur told the men, not with anger, but as a simple, direct statement full of weight. 4 grown men against a child. "Is that what you call fun?" The tall man opened his mouth to reply, but Arthur continued, still calm. "What kind of man feels better by making a child cry? What kind of courage is that?" He shook his head, as if contemplating a disappointing puzzle. "Look at yourselves. Expensive suits, luxury watches, stepping out of a restaurant where you probably spent more on one meal than this girl sees in a month. And yet, you need to demean a child to feel superior." The silence that followed was heavy. The 4 men looked uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact with Arthur or Lily. Some passers-by slowed down, watching. "Hey, we were just joking," the man with glasses finally mumbled, adjusting his tie. "Yeah, just a joke," the red-faced man added, having already taken a step back. "We didn't mean any harm." "A joke?" Arthur repeated, raising an eyebrow. "Interesting. Only it didn't seem very funny to her, did it?" He gestured towards Lily, who was still pressed against the wall, clutching her empty basket to her chest. "Look, buddy, we don't need this," the tall man said, annoyed but also uneasy. "Let's go, guys." "Yeah, we should go." "It's late," another quickly agreed. They began to walk away, muttering. One of them glanced back but changed his mind when he met Arthur's steady gaze. Arthur waited for the group of men to disappear before turning to Lily. He knelt down to her eye level, maintaining a respectful distance. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. Lily nodded, still clutching the $50 bill as if it weren't real. Her green eyes looked at Arthur cautiously, mixed with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "No need to thank me," Arthur replied with a slight smile. "Actually, I should thank you. I've been looking for flowers all day and haven't found any as beautiful as yours." A small, brief, but genuine smile appeared on Lily's face before disappearing again behind the caution hardened by years. "It's cold out here," Arthur remarked, seeing her shiver. "There's a cafe around the corner. Would you like some hot chocolate before heading home? They serve the best marshmallows in town." Lily hesitated, her eyes scanning Arthur's face as if searching for signs of danger. But something in the stranger's sincere, compassionate gaze made her timidly nod. "I like hot chocolate," she said, her voice small but firmer. The cafe was warm with soft yellow lights. The scent of cinnamon and chocolate mingled with freshly ground coffee. Arthur chose a table near the window, helping Lily take off her damp coat. "2 hot chocolates, please," he told the waitress, adding extra marshmallows, then winked at Lily. A shy smile appeared on her face, the first Arthur had seen, then quickly vanished. So, Arthur began when the waitress left. "Do you like flowers?" Lily nodded. "I like daisies the most," she whispered. "They're strong. They grow anywhere." Arthur was deeply moved. When their drinks arrived, Lily wrapped both hands around the cup, blew gently, and took a small sip. Her eyes widened. "Is it good?" Arthur asked. She nodded, taking a second, larger sip. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable. Arthur watched her drink, noticing details he hadn't seen before. The carefully mended tear on her sleeve, the makeshift bandage on her index finger, and the way her eyes constantly checked the exits. A survival habit. Her eyes looked much older than 6. "Do you sell flowers every day?" he asked. Lily stopped drinking, thinking. "When it's not too cold," she finally replied. "Or raining. People don't buy flowers when it rains." Arthur nodded. "And why do you sell flowers?" Lily played with her spoon in the hot chocolate. "To buy food," she finally said, her voice small and matter-of-fact, "and sometimes to pay for a warm place when it's too cold." Something tightened in Arthur's chest. They finished their hot chocolates in silence. Arthur wanted to ask more, but Lily's caution made him respect her boundaries. "Thank you for the hot chocolate," Lily said when she finished. "And for the flowers." "You're welcome," Arthur replied. "Is it too sudden if I ask your name?" Lily studied him for a moment. "Lily, that's a beautiful name," he smiled. "I'm Arthur." She nodded. "I have to go now," Lily said, sliding off the seat. Arthur wanted to ask where she was going, but her self-confidence and independence stopped him. "It was nice meeting you, Lily," he just said. "Thank you again," she replied, then added, "and for making them stop." Before Arthur could respond, she put on her faded coat, adjusted her hat, and walked out the door, disappearing into the night. He watched her through the misty window, her small figure gradually fading into the darkness. 3 weeks after the night he met the flower girl, Lily's image still lingered in Arthur's mind. Amidst stressful meetings and multi-million-dollar contracts, that small face kept flashing by, leaving him with an indescribable emptiness, something missing in his glamorous life. He began his search. No less than 5 times, Arthur returned to Fifth Avenue, walking along the sidewalks at different hours of the day and night. His eyes constantly scanned the bustling crowd, scrutinizing every newsstand, every street vendor, every florist. He tried to find her familiar, small figure, hoping to catch sight of the old flower basket and the wary green eyes. He asked a nearby florist, "Do you know a little girl, about 6 or 7, who sells flowers in this area?" The florist shook his head. "There are many vendors in this area, sir. They keep changing. They come and go like ghosts. In this city, people come and go like the wind." Arthur felt deeply disappointed. The vast, cold Fifth Avenue seemed to have swallowed the girl, leaving no trace. Lily, like the vendor described, had become a small urban ghost that the city had consumed. Despite having the phone numbers of many of New York's most powerful figures, Arthur was now helpless in his search for an anonymous flower girl. He returned to his apartment, feeling overwhelmed by a sense of powerlessness. Saturday morning, the New York sky was gray, and snow was still falling lightly, covering Madison Square Park in white. Arthur decided to leave his confining apartment. He quickly put on his thick coat, stepped outside, and let his feet lead him to the park. Perhaps he just wanted to find some peace in the vast space, where bare trees stood silently amidst the white snow. As he walked past the area near the fountain, a small figure against the white snow suddenly caught his eye. Arthur slowly walked closer, his heart beating a little faster when he realized it was Lily. She was kneeling on the thick snow, her tiny bare hands constantly digging and scratching at the frozen layer. Her breath formed white plumes in the cold air. Her faded red coat was stained with snow and dirt, her old wool hat pulled down, almost covering her eyes. Arthur stood silently for a moment, observing her. Lily didn't notice his presence. She was engrossed in her work. Her green eyes glowed unusually, intently looking down at the damp soil beneath the snow. Finally, Lily carefully pulled up a few tiny weeds with small, pale white flowers, weak but still resilient amidst the harsh winter. She placed them in the small basket beside her, a faint smile spreading across her face as if rewarding herself for her efforts. "Winter flowers," Lily murmured to herself, her tiny voice almost carried away by the wind and snow, rare and strong. She cherished those flowers as if they were treasures. Arthur stepped a little closer, just enough for her to hear. "Lily?" he softly called. She started, looking up. Her green eyes widened in surprise, then slowly turned wary as she recognized the stranger. But then a flicker of light ignited as she recognized Arthur. A mixed emotion of surprise, confusion, and a hint of relief passed across her small face. "Mr. Mr. Miller?" Her voice was tiny, almost inaudible amidst the wind and the still falling snowflakes. Arthur smiled in relief as Lily remembered him. He knelt down to her eye level, letting his hands hang by his sides. "Hello, Lily. I didn't expect to see you here." He looked down at her hands, red from the cold, then at the snow-stained basket with only a few weak wildflowers. A sudden pang of hunger seized Lily. Her stomach rumbled softly, loud enough for Arthur to hear. He looked directly at Lily, his expression warm. "You seem hungry. I know a small diner nearby that makes delicious pancakes with maple syrup. Would you like to go have breakfast with me?" Lily blinked, her eyes scrutinizing him as if considering a luxurious offer. The prospect of a hot meal was too tempting to refuse, but her street experience had taught her to always be cautious. "Pancakes with maple syrup?" she repeated, as if savoring the words. Finally, hunger won over apprehension. She nodded gently, a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. Arthur stood up, smiling. "Great. He helped Lily brush off the snow from her coat and flower basket. Then they quickly left the park, heading towards the small diner. The small diner was cozy, with simple wooden tables, and the inviting aroma of coffee and toast. Lily sat opposite Arthur, her eyes still a little wary, but much softer. When a plate of hot golden pancakes with a thick layer of maple syrup and melting butter was placed in front of her, her eyes lit up brightly. She picked up her fork and knife cautiously, then carefully cut a small piece and brought it to her mouth. Her face immediately relaxed, her eyes seeming to glow. "Is it good?" Arthur asked, smiling as he watched her eat. Lily nodded repeatedly, her mouth still full of pancakes. "It's delicious." While Lily eagerly ate her pancakes, Arthur observed her. He noticed small details, the careful way she ate as if afraid it would run out, the way her eyes occasionally darted to the window as a habit. He decided to ask gently. "Lily," he began, "where do you live? I haven't seen you selling flowers on Fifth Avenue anymore." Lily stopped eating, putting her fork down. She looked into her hot chocolate cup, stirring it gently with a spoon. I live in many places," she whispered. "Sometimes in a shelter, or wherever I can find a warm spot." Arthur listened, his heart sinking. "And your family?" Lily was silent for a long time, her green eyes looking distant, as if sifting through painful memories. My mom passed away almost a year ago," she said, her voice so small Arthur had to lean in to hear clearly. A tear rolled down her cheek, but she quickly wiped it away with the back of her hand. "I never met my dad." Arthur felt his heart clench. A 6-year-old girl, facing such a harsh world alone. He didn't know what to say. All comforting words seemed meaningless in the face of such a heartbreaking story. He simply placed his hand on the table, taking Lily's small hand, a silent gesture of comfort. Lily's hand trembled slightly, but she didn't pull away. After the warm breakfast, Arthur and Lily sat for a while longer, the silence between them no longer heavy but more comfortable. Lily had finished her last pancake, her face clearly satisfied. Arthur looked at her, feeling a strong urge to do something. "Lily," Arthur said, his voice gentle, "if you like daisies so much, would you like to draw them?" Lily looked up, her green eyes slightly wide. "Draw?" "Yes," Arthur smiled. "I think you'd be talented at it. I could buy you some colored pencils and a sketchbook. Would you like to try?" A spark ignited in Lily's eyes, a spark Arthur hadn't seen since he met her. Joy and curiosity were evident on her childlike face. "Really? You'll buy them for me?" "Of course," Arthur replied. "We can go buy them right now." Without hesitation, Arthur took Lily to a large stationery store. Lily walked among the colorful shelves, her eyes sparkling as if she had stumbled into a wonderland. Arthur patiently stood beside her, watching her engrossed in choosing boxes of colored pencils, crayons, and a thick sketchbook. Finally, Lily chose a box of 2 4-colored pencils in various shades and a hardbound sketchbook. That day, Madison Square Park became their studio. Arthur spread a small blanket on a dry park bench amidst the snow-covered trees. Lily sat down, carefully opening the brand new box of colored pencils. She tried each color, one by one, on the white paper, her eyes full of concentration. At first, Lily was hesitant, her strokes trembling. But then, as Arthur sat beside her, not rushing, simply observing and smiling encouragingly, Lily gradually relaxed. She began to draw. The tiny, strong daisies she had just dug from under the snow appeared on the paper in shades of white, yellow, and green. Lily didn't just draw what she saw, but also what she felt. There were colorful, vibrant drawings, but also simple, expressive pencil sketches. Arthur realized Lily had a special talent for expressing her inner world through each stroke. They spent hours like that, drawing together in the park. Arthur wasn't good at drawing, but he tried to sketch simple shapes, occasionally showing Lily how to mix colors, how to create shadows. In those moments, Lily was no longer a homeless flower girl, but a passionate little artist. She laughed more, talked more, sharing simple thoughts about colors, about flowers. Through each drawing, the barrier between Lily and Arthur gradually disappeared. Lily felt safe with him, a stranger who had brought her not only food and temporary shelter, but also joy, understanding, and a space for her to express herself. Arthur also found a strange peace being near Lily, watching her create. The emptiness within him seemed to be filled by bright colors, by the clear laughter of a child. As days turned into weeks, Madison Square Park became a peaceful haven for Arthur and Lily. Almost every afternoon, after work, Arthur would come to the park, bringing some snacks and drawing with Lily. Her sketchbook grew thicker each day, filled with strong daisies, winter trees, and even the faces of people she encountered. Lily began to smile more, genuine, carefree smiles, no longer with the wariness of a street child. But then, one fateful afternoon shattered that peace. That day, Arthur was stuck in traffic and arrived later than usual. As he entered the park, a disturbing sight met his eyes. Lily was surrounded by a group of three older teenagers. They were tall, dressed defiantly, and clearly teasing Lily. "What the heck are you doing, kid?" One of them, with blue-dyed hair, scoffed. "Drawing? Let's see." He reached out to snatch the sketchbook from Lily's hand. Lily backed away, clutching the sketchbook tightly to her chest, her green eyes full of fear and anger. "Don't touch it!" she screamed, her voice trembling. "Oh, look, this kid can fight back?" Another one sneered, lightly bumping Lily's shoulder, making her stumble. "Hand it over. Maybe it's a drawing of ghosts." Rage flared in Arthur. He strode quickly towards the group of teenagers, his face grim. "Hey!" His voice rang out, sharp and powerful, cutting through their laughter. "What are you doing?" The three teenagers jumped, their faces stunned to see an adult suddenly appear. Arthur stood protectively in front of Lily, his gaze authoritative, showing no quarter. "Leave her alone." "Now." Faced with Arthur's steady gaze, the group of teenagers dared not utter another word. Their initial defiance vanished, replaced by awkwardness. We were just joking, sir," the blue-haired one stammered. "Your jokes are scaring a child," Arthur retorted, his voice low but weighted with meaning. "Get out of here before I call the police." Arthur's threat had an immediate effect. The three teenagers quickly scurried away, not daring to look back. Arthur turned back to Lily. She was still trembling, tears welling up in her eyes, but she clutched the sketchbook like a treasure. "Mr. Miller!" she sobbed, throwing herself into his arms. Arthur held Lily tightly, feeling her trembling. He gently stroked Lily's brown hair, reassuring her. "It's okay. You're safe now." Looking at the fragile girl in his arms, Arthur realized a harsh truth. Lily couldn't continue living like this. The park, the street corners, or shelters. None of them were safe places for a child. Her precious sketchbook was almost snatched away, but that was just one of countless dangers lurking daily. He released Lily, knelt down to her eye level, and looked directly into her still tearful green eyes. Lily, he said, his voice more serious than ever, you can't keep living on the streets anymore. Lily looked up at him, her face worried. But I have a large apartment, Arthur continued, with many rooms. I want you to come live with me. He took a deep breath, making the offer he had carefully considered, not just temporarily, Lily, but forever. I want you to have a real home. Lily stared at him, seemingly disbelieving what she had just heard. Forever? A home? She had never thought of that. The fear and loneliness that had long haunted her slowly dissipated, replaced by a bright spark of hope. That afternoon, everything Lily owned was neatly packed into her precious sketchbook, a box of colored pencils, and her old flower basket. Arthur took her to his penthouse apartment. Stepping into the vast space, Lily looked up at the paintings on the walls, the huge windows overlooking the sparkling city. Arthur led her to a room. "This will be your room," he said, opening the door. Lily stepped inside. A cozy little bed, a wardrobe, and a desk by the window. On the desk, a brand new set of watercolors and a few children's books awaited her. Lily touched the soft bedspread, placed a flower basket in the corner of the room, carefully setting the sketchbook on the desk. A feeling of protection and love enveloped her, chasing away years of coldness. She had a home. In the following days, Lily's life changed completely. Hot meals, sleep on a soft bed, school days, and hours spent engrossed in art. Arthur's apartment was now filled with laughter and colorful drawings. He found his new purpose in caring for the girl. However, Arthur knew that love alone was not enough. For Lily to truly have a permanent home, he needed to legalize everything. He began the adoption process. Lawyers, paperwork, files. Everything was carefully prepared. A few weeks later, one morning, the doorbell rang. The social worker came to visit. A stern woman. She took careful notes as Arthur presented his reasons and plans. Then she wanted to speak with Lily alone. Lily was busy drawing in her room when she suddenly felt a strange tension. She didn't fully understand words like files, check, foster system that she accidentally overheard. But the fear of being separated, of being taken to a strange place, a place other children had talked about, crept into her mind. Would this happiness be temporary? Would she be taken away, separated from Arthur, the man who had given her the world? Lily clutched her sketchbook tightly, her green eyes filled with worry and fear that the home she had just found would slip away. The fear grew in Lily. When the social worker left, she knew she had to do something. She quietly went into her room, hastily wrote a short message on a page in her sketchbook, and placed it on her pillow. Then, Lily hugged her sketchbook and the empty flower basket, sneaking out of the apartment unnoticed. There was only one place she felt safest in moments of panic: Madison Square Park, where she had once found strong winter flowers. Arthur discovered Lily's message when he went into her room to check on her. His heart clenched as he read the messy handwriting. "I'm scared. I don't want to go. I'm going back to the park." Without a second's hesitation, Arthur grabbed his coat and rushed out of the apartment. He knew exactly where Lily would be. Snow was still falling lightly when Arthur arrived at the park. He saw the familiar small figure huddled on a snow-covered bench, right where they had first met. Lily hugged her sketchbook tightly to her chest, her eyes red from crying, staring blankly into space. Arthur walked closer, kneeling down in front of Lily. "Lily?" he said softly, his voice full of worry. She looked up, her eyes brimming with tears. "I don't want to go," she sobbed. "I don't want to be taken anywhere." Arthur hugged Lily tightly. Listen to me, Lily. I will never let that happen. Do you hear me? Never. He held her shoulders, looking directly into Lily's eyes. You are already a part of my family. Always have been. No one can take you away from me, I promise you that. He repeated the promise, affirming it firmly to reassure her. Gradually, Arthur's reassurance calmed Lily's fears. She stopped crying, resting her head on his shoulder. Really? She asked, her voice muffled. Really? Arthur replied, gently stroking her hair. Do you trust me? Lily nodded. Under the still falling snow, Arthur held Lily's hand, leading her home. This time, she walked with a sense of relief, no longer fearing being left behind. After the incident in the park, Arthur realized that he needed to act quickly and decisively. Adopting Lily was not only a personal desire, but also a responsibility, a promise he had made to her. The first thing he did was confront his father, Edward Miller, a powerful man who always prioritized work. One afternoon, Arthur went to Edward's office. I have something to tell you, Dad, Arthur began, his voice firm. I'm adopting Lily. Edward, who was reviewing a stack of documents, looked up, his face utterly surprised. Adopting? What are you talking about, Arthur? That girl. That homeless girl you keep mentioning? He put the documents down, his sharp eyes fixed on his son. Do you know how complicated that is? It will affect your image, our corporation's image. Arthur looked directly at his father. I know, but I can't let her live on the streets anymore. She needs a family, Dad, and I need her too. He recounted the entire story of Lily, from their first meeting, the incident in the park, to her fear when facing the social worker. He didn't hide his emotions about how Lily had changed his life, giving him a purpose that money could never buy. Edward listened in silence, his expression shifting from surprise to contemplation. Finally, he sighed, his eyes softening slightly as he saw the determination and genuine affection in his son's eyes. I understand, Edward said, his voice softer. If that's what you truly want, Arthur, I will support you. Whatever you need, I will help. Edward's words were a valuable acceptance, lifting a heavy burden from Arthur's heart. A few weeks later, the final hearing day arrived. The courtroom was small, but the atmosphere was tense. Lily sat next to Arthur, her small hand clutching his, her green eyes fixed on the judge. Arthur had prepared meticulously, with all the necessary documents, files, and even Lily's drawings. Vivid proof of her change and bond. The judge, an older woman with kind eyes, listened to Arthur's story attentively. She examined the drawings, Lily's innocent pencil strokes. She also spoke with Lily, asking gentle questions about her new life with Arthur. Lily, though still timid, confidently spoke about winter flowers and the joy of drawing. After listening, the judge smiled gently. She looked at Arthur and Lily, seeing the undeniable connection between them, a bond that had overcome all social barriers and prejudices. Arthur Miller, she said, her voice clear and warm, the court finds that you have the qualifications and love to become the legal guardian of Miss Lily. She turned to Lily. And you, Lily? Do you want to become Mr. Arthur Miller's daughter? Lily looked at Arthur, then at the judge, a radiant smile spreading across her face. Yes, she replied firmly. The judge struck her gavel. Then she declared, from today, Lily is officially Arthur Miller's daughter. A wave of relief and happiness spread throughout the courtroom. Arthur hugged Lily tightly, feeling as if a huge burden had been lifted. The legal procedures were finally complete. But Both Arthur and Lily understood that this paper was only a confirmation of something that had existed long before. The love and emotional connection that had made them a true family, overcoming all barriers of social status or dry legal procedures. Now, they were officially a family forever.